Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. This video will probably be relatively short. It's something I wasn't thinking about doing, and then I was like, oh, why not? I just want to show some of the reference books that I'm now keeping on my desk. I think I talked about that a little bit. I left my thesaurus in the other room because mostly I want to cover the dictionaries right now. Now, I already had this one, I think, when I was showing a book called a couple videos back. And this one's nice. I had at one point a big old Oxford Oxford Dictionary of American English. It was huge, and as much as I love it because it had a lot in it, it just was too big. I wasn't able to really keep it on my desk conveniently, and it wasn't getting used. So I gave that to my mom, and I had also picked up at one point before I had grabbed this little color Oxford English Dictionary. So that's on my desk now, and I do find that I am using this consistently. And this just has a decent amount of definitions. It also has an area for prefixes, suffixes, just how to effectively use English. So this is nice. It's something that I find to be useful, especially with some of the more scholarly works that I read. Just having reference books available on the desk if I don't want to constantly be pulling out my phone to look things up, and because I don't want to necessarily get caught on the internet and end up down a rabbit hole. Now, sometimes this doesn't always have everything I'm looking for, or it only has part of a definition. And so this is where having another source I find is useful. So I ended up picking up the Merriam-Webster dictionary just sort of as a supplementary. And it's not as, it doesn't have like these nice little colored tab-like things. It's not actual tabs, but it looks like tabs on it. It doesn't have like the little section that's colored in the center that says effective English. So it's not quite as pretty in that way as the Oxford English Dictionary, but it has a nice selection of words in it. It has a little section, when you get to money, it goes through world currency. So it talks to you about the country and what their currency is. And I'm guessing that they are basically showing what it would be at that time as equivalent. Now, that obviously changes with, how the economy is going in each country, if that is in fact an exchange rate. I have not looked very closely at it, but I did think it was interesting to see the different kinds of money for each country. Because, if you don't travel a lot, you don't know. Now, I think a lot of, you have euros now, where you wouldn't have before. Yeah, it's talking about which ones were replaced by the euro. Yeah, so I seem to remember actually when the euro, they're talking about using it when we were leaving England, because we were still using the British coins at that time. And then I think around the time we were leaving England in the mid-late 90s, that was when I remember hearing talk about the euros. And that was as a young kid. I remember hearing my parents kind of annoyed about that because they liked the British coins. I have some somewhere. I'm just not sure what I did with it. Now, I also have here, I had a different Oxford Dictionary for writers and editors, but it was an older one. I want to say it was like 80s or older, and I just wanted something that was a little bit more up to date. So this revised edition, it was first published in 2005, but they revised it again in 2014. So it's nice just to have an updated one for writers and editors. Now this one's kind of cool. So first of all, it has things that you might need as a writer or editor. So like it'll have some more colloquial things, or things that are more of within the how do I say this? You'll have things like, oh, this is Star Wars, that's what this reference means. Or if someone makes a quick reference to something historically that, it might be just kind of like a throwaway reference that's not enough to have a full a dictionary definition, but it's thrown in here so that way if someone's editing a history book, they would have, an idea of this is what this is. There's sometimes a word of a different language in here, if that's something that's seen fairly commonly. They also have a fair amount of little acronyms, so they show a shortening of Monsignor. So things like that, which you might not see in, a normal dictionary, as well as a short little definition, like, oh, this is a time period, and, a very little bit about that person. But I think that the acronyms in particular are very useful, as well as some of the things that are in the social consciousness, current or past. So this is really cool. It has members of the European Union at that point, the Greek alphabet. They have the prime ministers of Great Britain up to 2010. They had the presidents of the United States. Now this was not up to date, so I added the last two in there. And I also added something that I felt was missing and would be rather useful to have. I wrote in all the British monarchs, starting with the Saxon kings all the way through to Charles III. So I added that on into here because I thought that was necessary. But yeah, this is really cool just to have if there's this quick reference, particularly if you're looking for acronyms. Because, like, for example, they have DA for Danish, or DAB, digital audio broadcasting. Some things that you might not find. Oh, like, what's a Daily Express, Daily Mail, Daily Telegraph? You might not find that in the average dictionary because that's not just a word you're trying to define. So, yeah. That's just useful. This one is dangerous. I picked this one up on a whim. I was looking for a pocket Merriam-Webster dictionary, and somehow this one came up. So it's Merriam-Webster's Pocket Biographical Dictionary, up-to-date guide to the world's most influential men and women. Now, this is dangerous to me because I love biography. Now, I wanted this because I'm like, I'm reading about these historical figures. Sometimes I might forget someone, or maybe it's not that person's not covered in great detail in the book. Maybe they're kind of brushed past, so it might be nice to know who they are. I ended up finding someone who interested me, and I ended up picking up their autobiography. His book is coming in. I know his first name, George Washington something. I can't remember his last name. But his autobiography is coming in, and he was a World War II doctor. And he wrote a bunch of different things that were about medical practices and furthering of medicine during World War I. And he also wrote his autobiography of working during that period of World War I. So I look forward to that coming in, but it's the fault of this little pocket biographical dictionary, which is just trouble. So I look forward to using this when I need it, not just, going through it and finding books finding people that I end up wanting to read about, because that's dangerous. But this is going to be a useful little reference. So those are my reference books that I have sitting on my desk. I really enjoy reference books, and I enjoy being able to have them at my fingertips without having to necessarily continually look it up on my phone. If I want to, I can almost turn off my phone and put it to the side and just use my books and my reference books to accompany me while I'm reading other books. So yeah, that's all that I have for this reference book section. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you for the next video. God bless. Bye.